Hello out there, all you wonderful people. This is RJ, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me a time in your ear and listening into another video from me. And the subject matter is going to be people who are what I consider to be confused gamers. Very, very confused gamers. Like, highly confused. And that's not to say that they are stupid, but you can be book smart and not have, general world sense, I guess it would say, because I can't call it common sense anymore because it's not common at all. It is very rare at this point in time. It is so super rare. But and this is inspired by a couple things, but there was a conversation that I guess is still ongoing on another video that I have, and it was about me talking about Nintendo Switch's price and what you get with it. And there's a person who is comparing the Nvidia Shield to it. I get that they are similar designed. They're similarly designed. I understand that, and that a lot of probably what the Switch's design is probably based off of the Shield. Those are things I understand, and I have no issue with that. Like making that comparison because that is probably the closest comparison that you'll have. But within the conversation, I basically was just trying to say the different things that Nintendo has included in the Switch that kind of makes sense for the price. I'm not talking about graphics. I am talking about the overall package of the thing. Now, this is someone who's a member of the UK, so pricing is going to be different for them for us. But when they look up prices and they convert it over, yeah, it's cheaper for in our money over there for particular stuff. But over here, when I looked up the prices, it's about comparable to what the Switch is. And you have to buy a lot of the stuff individually. A lot of it. Over here. I mean, over there, I think they said they can get everything for like what would be equivalent to $179 in US. Like all the stuff that the Nvidia Shield would have that is comparable to the Switch, which would be awesome. Like, but then if somebody from over here purchases that, they also have to pay an import fee. So it would probably still bump it back up anyway. But his whole point was to say that the Nvidia Shield 1K can output and have better graphics than the Switch. I wasn't arguing that. I agree. Yes, it can. It supports a 4K resolution. It has HDR and all that. I'm not arguing against that. Like, but all the stuff that you would need for the Shield in order to do everything that the Switch does out the box, and there are certain things that it does out the box that the Shield can't do, the price is, at least to me, the price makes sense. That's as cheap as they could go with everything that they packed into it. Whereas the Switch has Bluetooth 5, it has USB 3.0, the USB-C adapter, which would make for a quick charge. It has an advanced, newer version of motion controls and gyros. Like you have the HD HD Rumble, which is supposed to be a better, a much more accurate version of feedback. Uh, it can support up to 2 terabyte micro SD when they're available, which the Shield only goes up to 128 gigabytes, what it can support as extra, at least as far as the tablet. Now, if you were talking to Shield TV, that comes with a 500 gigabyte hard drive. I think it comes with. Is it a hard drive or is it flash memory? Either way, I know it has 500 gigabytes of storage, but it isn't a tablet and it just plays on your TV. Like it's just the television version of the tablet, but with additional storage space. Um, then on top of that, the Joy Cons can be split up into two controllers to use as two controllers. You can use it as one controller. You can use it as two pieces of a bigger controller for one person, or divide it into two smaller controllers for two people to play multiplayer with. depending upon the game. There's certain games that just don't feel right with the analog stick. So yeah, paying the extra money for the pro controllers will be worth it. And on top of that, if you're going to have a 4K television anyway, if they make the games right and they put in 4K textures and stuff, it's going to display at that resolution anyhow. I mean, it's not going to display at that resolution, but those things will look better anyhow on an actual 4K television. But the problem is not as many people have 4K televisions as people might think. Most people have most people now probably have either a 720p television or a 1080p television. There aren't that many people who have 4K. It's starting to get cheaper where it will spread out more, but there aren't as many people who have 4K televisions and monitors. You guys are the rarity. Hell, hell, I even have a 4K TV, but mine is one of the cheaper ones. And that was mostly because my wife wanted to get a smart TV, and I was like, if I'm going to get a smart TV, I might as well get a 4K TV. I found one, but that's a conversation for a different time. It's not. It looks nice and all, but I know it's a lower quality one. Like I know that for myself, um, because I wasn't paying like $800-900 for a TV. But again, and we had this back and forth where I went over the specs of the Nvidia Shield directly from Nvidia and compared to what I've heard about and what I've seen that is in the Switch. Heck, to an example, 802.11n is what the Nvidia Shield uses, which is the same thing that the Nintendo Wii used, and the Wii also had a customized version of that which operated like 802.11ac. Now the Switch has 802.11ac in it for connecting to your wireless, and it also has a customized Wi-Fi chip in it for seamless connection to other Switch units, which is another variant of 802.11. In the same sense that the Wii U had two 802.11 chips in it, one to connect to your wireless and one to connect to the gamepad for seamless play. Like that's exactly what they're doing. But I guess that's harder to explain to people that when you're trying to explain things that would enhance the end user experience rather than just the look of the games. And it's not like the games are going to be ugly. Like there's just people that are just like overly stuck on resolutions and graphics. Like as long as the game looks decent enough and it plays good, I'm happy. I'm not going to be mad about that. But I'm not really saying that this person is confused, but there's a bit of confusion that will be held up in this conversation where I'm talking about the overall prospects of the item, and this person is talking about one aspect between the two items, and that that type of conversation goes nowhere unless one person between the two of them is actually able to curate it to make sense between those things. And hopefully with the last comment that I made, this person will understand exactly what I was meaning rather than just worry about the one thing. Like you can worry about the one thing. I'm not arguing that. I'm not saying you're wrong. You're right on that. And I'm saying that here just in case they come to this video. You're right on that one thing. I'm talking about the other stuff that encompasses the full experience. So hopefully, if they see this video, they'll understand where my stand my my they'll understand my position. Gosh, I hate when I get tongue tied like that. Now, other thing I go to is seeing that people seem to not understand how the Joy-Cons are supposed to work. For some reason, I don't know how you wouldn't understand how they're supposed to work when it's basically supposed to be based upon the motions that you input. And it's not like the games aren't going to explain this to you because games handhold everywhere and we can't look at an instruction manual anymore because those are a sin for some reason. It's like reading at all is considered a sin. But There are people who think that motion controls are shitty. Fine. But guess what Nintendo did for you? They made a controller that you can negate that need. You can literally negate that with. And that's the Pro Controller. Now, it does include gyro, but I'm pretty sure you don't have to use it for most games. There are some games that will definitely benefit from it. Like if ARMS uses the gyro in a way that you use the gyro to move your character for the Pro Controller, that would probably be pretty good. But I'm pretty sure they also have it set up so that you can turn it completely off. And like yes, and you can use the Pro Controller in ARMS. And for anybody who doesn't know that, you can use the Pro Controller in it, not just the Joy Cons. But I do think that people who use the Joy Cons will have a distinct advantage over people that use the Pro Controller because they'll probably get more into it, and then instinctively they'll be able to play the game better than people using a controller. Because at that point is all based upon your physical reactions to things. So they would probably be able to play it better. But that aside, it's like people get mad if you say, well, I don't necessarily worry about third party games on Nintendo, especially when you own another platform to play them on. You don't usually worry about them on Nintendo. Then people say, well, you don't like options. Like, no, if I didn't like options, I wouldn't have bought another platform to begin with. Like, that's why I don't want Nintendo to be exactly the same as everybody else. I don't need them to be the same as everybody else. Yeah, sure, there are some things that they could take and apply from other companies, but I don't want them to be them. If they're going to do something similar to someone else, I want them to do it in their own way, in a way that entices me to want to pick up their devices. Like, and the fact that they do things so differently is why I get their stuff. Because it's different from what I get with Microsoft or Sony. It's a different experience. Hell, that's also why I want to build a PC, because there are things that you can do with a PC as far as gaming that do not happen on the other three. I don't know why that's so hard to understand. If people say they want options, then you should want somebody else to have the option to be able to play a game the way that they want to, even if it's not the same way you want to play it. I don't want to necessarily have to play a shooter where I'm stuck with analogs. Like, I'm good with them, I can use them, but I don't want to have to be stuck with them. Like, if I have a choice to try a different gameplay option out to see if that works for me, why is that a bad thing? Why is that wrong? Why is that like the worst thing that someone could do? Like, you don't have to like motion controls. I'm not expecting you to. I'm not asking you to. I don't care if you do. Like, but don't get mad at me because I like them. Don't get mad at me because I can adjust to them. Like, hell, let me experience the game the way I want to. And you experience it the way you want to. Why is that so bad? I don't get that. I really don't get that way of thinking. Like, you can say, hey, I want these options, but I'm going to be totally closed off to all these other ones. Like, I'm sorry, I love pizza. And I mean, I love pizza. I could eat pizza for days on end without a problem. But eventually, I'll get tired of it and I want something else. So I might want to go out and get some sushi. Or I might want to go out and get some chicken roti or something like that. Or hell, I might even go out and get a burrito. Those are other options. Those are different things that I can experience that I might also like. So, what's the problem with that? And I see there's a lot of confusion over that. Like, there are a lot of people confused over that. But that's it for this particular video. I have some other stuff that I plan on doing. So you guys can just watch my channel for videos to be dropping like flies. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me. And until the next time, please enjoy your games and peace out.